Our top story this week. With Chuba Hubbard out again, backup running back Rico Dowdle scores more than 30 points for a second week in a row. Dowdle is a key contributor in Patrick's win over Sam this week. Chuba is expected back again next week, but I think Uncle Rico might just be here to stay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now it's time for a new recurring segment, our Game of the Week. Our game this week is between Any Given CTE and Team B More 11. Both teams outscored projections by more than 20 points. Any Given CTE played Daniel Jones and Patrick Mahomes, this week's overall number 1 QB. And Team B More played Jalen Hurts and Sam Darnold. While Team CTE's running backs did great, B More had JSN, Ladd McConkey, and Drake London all go off this week. Mike wins the whole week in points and finds himself in 6th place. Meanwhile, Brian hangs on to 5th place. Neck and neck! Congratulations to both teams on being the Game of the Week! Looking ahead is this week's headliner, a game happening in the upcoming week we should all keep an eye on. This week's headliner, Mac Attack versus Choke City. This is a battle of the Titans. First place Lauren goes up against second place Zach. Lauren's been on a hot streak, winning her last 3 games. Despite a recent loss, Zach still has the second most points in the league. And he sat Bijan last week. Lauren's wide receiver room is pretty bare right now, especially with Zay Flowers on bye. But Zach is also out Mark Andrews this week. It should be a close game, but I think Zach has the slight edge this week. And what recurring segment would be complete without Mort Grimm's Chump of the Week? This week's Chump of the Week is Jesse Nocon with his team Exciting Whites. Jesse barely got half of his projected points this week. Some of them weren't his fault, with Marvin Harrison getting injured and Michael Pittman having an off day. Still, Jesse played an out Dalton Kincaid. That's what happens when you wait to play a questionable player on Monday. Jesse's bench was pretty sad this week, but he didn't even use an IR spot. He could have picked up Dawson Knox or Michael Mayer. Just saying. Jesse falls to a disappointing 10th place this week. But he still has 100 more points than his shit-talking commissioner. Now it's time for our weekly segment, From the Outhouse to the Penthouse. Congratulations to this week's winner, Mike Mooney. When reached for comment, Mike had this to say.
Thank you, Scott. I have to admit that when you told me I won week 6 points, I couldn't believe it. This season has been a challenge. Losing in points to my wife, Lauren, each week has been nothing short of demoralizing. I look forward to keeping my head held high at the dinner table in front of my daughters this week. And I hope to keep this streak going, and maybe even nab the coveted 6th position in the tournament. Go Colts!
That'll do it for this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck this week.